Everyone, this is Mr. Dice again, your business teacher and business consultant, and today we carry on what we started in the initial video regarding pricing and what do we take in consideration when we're trying to establish the correct selling price for our product, what key questions we should ask ourselves, and from which angles we should look towards this problem to actually attack it from the right direction. Now, there's a lot to cover in this video. I've summed up about 10 pricing strategies that you could use depending on which is more suitable for you, and what moment do you actually find yourself with the business, and what cycle to say so. Are you on survival mode? Are you in booming mode? What kind of costs you're actually facing over there? What's your long-term goal and plan? So I'm going to start with the first one, which is called markup pricing. Okay, markup pricing means that you add a percentage on top of cost of making that good, okay, so that you make sure you reach a profit per unit. Trust me, I've tried to simplify it as much as possible, these technical and theoretical notions. So the best way that I can explain even such a skimmed definition would be through examples. So you add a percentage on top of just the cost of making, be careful, not the total costs, a good, so that you reach a certain profit per unit. Now, it is well known that in the hotels and restaurant business, especially in the restaurant business, if you have the cost of production for something X, you should add up a markup over there of at least, between 200 and 400%, so that things can start moving in a positive light for you and you actually make profit with it. So the best example I can give you over here is that if the cost of making one pizza is €1, I would strongly recommend that you go with a markup of 400% and sell that pizza for €4. So this would be the best example that I can give you. If you're a restaurant, try this. You'll thank me one day, directly or indirectly. But if the cost of making one pizza is €1, sell it for 4 at least, and you'll do wonders for your business. Second pricing strategy could be named target pricing. What is target pricing? Okay? Target pricing involves setting a selling price that would give you the return rate expected, at a certain volume of sales or output. Best way to explain this would be again through an example. So you have the total costs of producing 5,000 units is $10,000. We're making 5,000 units, okay? So now you set the selling price knowing your costs and taking in consideration the return rate that you expect. So I expect a return rate of at least 20% on top of my total costs over there. This means that now the revenue made from sales should be $12,000, right? If you calculate 20% added on the costs that are $10,000, which means that I gotta sell one piece at this volume, so divided by 5,000 units, it means that I need to sell these at $2.4 per unit sold would be the correct selling price for me to actually get the return that I expect from this. Okay? Now, the third one is called contribution. Contribution cost pricing. Okay? Now, for those of you which are not familiar with what contribution means, contribution is very simple to be understood by pulling out the selling price, the variable costs you have for that unit, minus variable costs per unit. Okay? So, let's define contribution cost pricing. We now understand what contribution is, so we should look at contribution cost pricing as calculating the unit's variable costs, okay, and then add an amount, okay, as contribution to the fixed costs. If you were to listen again to this formula without understanding what contribution is and variable costs and fixed costs, it would actually make no sense. So I did explain what contribution is. The contribution is the difference between selling price and the cost you would actually have with the and occur only when you make that product. So I would give the example of fixed cost to be a baker's salary. A baker's salary. Okay? And variable costs to be the dough. The cost of dough. So although you're not selling breads, you're still having the cost of the baker's salary. That's why it is a fixed cost. This is what it means by fixed cost. You have it whether you like it or not, whether you're selling or not, whether you produce or not. When it comes to variable costs, you only have these costs when you produce. You only need dough when you're making bread in order to sell it, right? So what you do, you take these variable costs, let's assume it's $1 per dough, and you add another $1 so that the selling price is now $2 because this dollar will go as contribution to these fixed costs, to the baker's salary. So this means that if the baker, makes 1,000 items per month, it actually, and by selling them with this contribution, he contributes by paying his own salary over there. So his salary is covered throughout this contribution. Okay, so just remember, you need dough when you produce, but you still pay the baker even if you don't produce. So that's the difference between fixed and variable costs, if you ask me. Number 4 is full cost pricing. Full cost pricing, it means that we consider total costs. Total costs are built from variable costs and fixed costs, yeah? The dough and the baker, okay? And then we add a percentage as profit margin. Okay? So if the total costs, let's give examples. Again, examples help us clarify everything. If the total cost for making a bread is $2, then you should sell it for $4, because this way you make a healthy profit of $2, which is actually 100%. That's a wow, by the way. That's a wow. That's a really good thing if it happens. Number 5 is known as competition-based pricing. Competition-based pricing. I think even the word gives it away. The first word in this technical term gives it away. And this means that you set your prices close to your competitors' prices. Okay? So if I sell milk, and my competitor is at $5 for the gallon of milk, then in the spirit of competition-based pricing, I should be somewhere at 5.1 or at 4.9, so that I'm close to him and I stay competitive with my selling price. I would go this way if products are really, really similar, or but I could also go this way if I consider, and it's actually true that my product is a bit superior, perhaps throughout the packaging, perhaps throughout how it's presented on the shelf over there. I don't know. You justify. You're the one that actually has the business. I'm just giving you ideas over here. So this is what competition-based pricing actually is about. Now the next one is penetration pricing. Okay, now red flag over here. Let's not get drunk with cold water here. This is just a temporary solution. You'll understand in a minute why. Because it involves selling at a very low price, in brackets, even lower than cost of production, which is extremely painful. Why would you do that? To gain market share. And boost sales. Why do I say it's a temporary solution and it should be a warning? Is because if you do this on long term, you're just cannibalizing your own company. So I would advise against this practice for a very long time. This is very characteristic to new products. Yeah, so it's for new products, especially when they get out there, or new companies or new brands. Yeah, it can also be brands on the market out there. Number 7. If you're a grown-up, this can really irritate you if you go to the cinema, and you'll understand in a second. Number 7 is what is known as price discrimination. Okay, what is price discrimination strategy? Is you charge differently. Certain groups of consumers for the same product. And this is what I head back to the cinema example that I gave you. So if you go to the cinema, and you want to try and watch, and you want to enjoy the same movie as your kid, so a kid ticket is €1 and an adult ticket is €5. So it sucks to be a grown-up, right? This is a perfect example that you could keep in mind whenever you're trying to explain price discrimination. Okay? Number 8, dynamic pricing. Boy, you're gonna hate this one, especially when it's the holiday season, and you're gonna see in a couple of minutes why. Well, it's the situation in which you change prices according to level of demand and ability to pay. So you change your prices, as shocking as it sounds, according to someone's ability to pay and their demand for a certain product. Best examples I can give you here, and these examples, I'm a constant victim myself, is Airbnb, Booking, and Wizz Air. If it's the summer season, it's characteristic to the August month when everybody takes a holiday, if you're trying to find an accommodation in a popular location, prices spike. If you want to go and visit your family for Christmas and Easter like everyone does, and you buy a plane ticket, prices spike. This is dynamic pricing. Number 9 is known as price skimming. And again, I have a heads up for you, not to get drunk with cold water. This is also a temporary situation or solution. Well, this is highly characteristic to Apple products because they are perceived, and they are premium products, not only that they're perceived. So what do you do when you practice price skimming is you set a high price for a new product, okay? Because it has a very, very strong unique selling proposition or unique selling point. It has a close to inelastic price elasticity of demand and has a good brand behind it. So actually, everything plays in your favor. Good brand, good USP, inelastic PD, as close to inelastic as possible, perceived as premium. Why not milk it? And you do this for a period of time. As I said, it's a temporary situation because you are interested in increasing short-term profits. So milk the cow, milk it. It's very characteristic to products that have a monopoly on a certain market. Apple products, although the competition is tough, although they're not in a monopolistic situation over there, they do enjoy this position as being a brand leader And for that reason, they can practice these price skimming strategies. And last but not least is what is known as psychological pricing. Is when you try to trick the customers that your product is cheaper than it actually is in reality. So it's setting a price lower than the whole number, so that it looks more affordable and appealing. Affordable and appealing than it actually is. Okay? Very good example. Instead of saying 4 euros, okay, you say 3.99. Okay? And instead of saying $5 for your product, you say 4.95. These are classic examples of psychological pricing. Yeah, you lower a bit less than the whole number just to make it more affordable, seem more appealing and cheaper than it actually is in reality. So I did promise you a lot to digest for today. In fact, these are the most important pricing strategies that I'm familiar with. I've tried them, and I encourage you to do the same. And regardless of your business or of your industry, try to look at each of them. Try to see when you can practice them in parallel, and how you can maximize your profits, depending on some of the cyclical situations that might occur over there, such as spike in demand for Christmas. Maybe you can practice, dynamic pricing over there or price skimming. But these are just things to have in mind, because I don't consider the business environment to be rigid, to be linear, to be, constant. So have them in mind, become familiar with them, and just adjust as you go or as you find it fit. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget, if you have any business queries, just drop me a line and I'll help you pull it through.